Mr. Arun Nanda. It's an honor and privilege to introduce Mr. Arun Kumar Nanda to this august gathering. He is a professional of high repute and standing. Mr. Nanda is the chairman of India's most respected shared holiday company, Mahindra Holiday and Resorts India Limited, as also of Mahindra Life Spaces Developers Limited and Mahindra Consulting Engineers. Mr. Nanda is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants and Institute of Company Secretaries of India. His achievements have been recognized with various awards. The Chevalier de la Légion d'Honneur from the French government. He was awarded the Real Estate Person of the Year from Jerem Leadership Awards in India and received the prestigious Business Achiever Award from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for his contribution to the hospitality industry and service sector. He has also been awarded the Golden Star Lifetime Achievement Award in 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Arun Kumar Nanda to share his vast knowledge and views with us.
You know, I have a very difficult job. I can see a lot of hungry faces. There's a nice lunch, and I can only give you food for thought. And the more difficult is, to speak after the best governor India has ever had of its Reserve Bank of India. And after a spiritual leader, I truly feel humbled to have given this opportunity after these two eminent people. And I can see another very eminent person, Vallabh Bhansali, sitting there. So, this is the opposite of a sandwich. Normally, you have two pieces of bread and a cheese in between. You got two pieces of cheese and a bread in between. But, life likes to have different things. The term growth imperatives was actually coined by Grant Thornton, and they do some ranking of countries, and you'll be surprised that India only gets 41 on a scale of 100, whereas America is on 61 and India and Australia is on 67. But that is not how I would like to look at it, because there are many Indian companies who've done much better. TCS is a growing example. The company I was associated till 2011, I used to be the president of Mahindra and Mahindra. When I became the president, we were not $1 billion. In 2004, our turnover was $1.8 billion, and last year our turnover was $14 billion. So we grew 8 times, and this was in billions of dollars. In 2004, I don't remember what the rupee was. Probably we have multiplied 13 or 14 times, and our profit went up 7 times, and our market cap went up 25 times. And there are companies which have done better than them. There are companies like Sun Pharma, TCS. I can name a lot of them. So there are stars in India, and there are not so stars in India. What I'm going to do, if I have your permission, and I've been told that I have to finish in less than 30 minutes. Since I was asked to talk about growth, so I will just bear with me for 5 minutes on the serious part of the business. The next 10 minutes, I'll give you 3 experiences from my life as the group president of Mahindra and Mahindra, then the 2 businesses that I currently chairman of, non-executive chairman, and then I'd like to talk to some of you as an Indian and not as a business leader. Is that all right? Growth, the way I looked at growth, and I'm not the guru, I'm not a management expert, and maybe I believe McKinsey have a very good policy on their 3 horizons of growth, but I will talk in my own language. I have always looked at growth from 3 points of view, or 3 tiers. The first tier is, what are your current businesses? I have taken a 3-tier approach to life. The first tier is, take your business and see how you can grow it. The second approach is, what are the new businesses on the horizon which may require large investments, and how do you take the big bets? And the third is that what are the businesses of the future? How do I invest? How do I do research? How do I do R&D? How do I do pilots? So that 5 years and 10 years from now, I will have something to look at. But I'll have to incubate and sow the seeds today. To give you a live example of our tractor business, I don't know how many of you know that we are the world's largest tractor manufacturers. We said that first we must become number one in India. So what did we do? We improved our dealership reach. So we increased our dealers. We tried to get closer to the customer because in a tractor, the customer is a farmer. And you have to be close. So we went and improved our both quality of dealerships, because ultimately the dealer is the face. You know, unlike some of the products where you directly interact with the customer, in our case, it's the dealer who is the contact to the customer. So we improved dealer efficiencies. We improved dealer reach. But we did two other things. We created Mahindra Financial Services because a farmer in India, 97% of the tractors are sold on deferred credit. So we went and created our own finance company, because till then we were dependent on NABARD, which was the agricultural financing bank. And you know the problems they had and the money they had to give to the people to get their loans, etc., etc. We said we'll create a financial service company. But the other thing we did, which really yielded a lot of results, we went, you know, when you are a dominant player, when you are a leader, you get complacent. And you only look, you get carried away with your profits and your number one position and the awards that you get. You don't do, as Sadhguruji said, internal introspection. We brought down our break-even by 35%. So just imagine what it did to our profitability. Our return on capital employed went up from 17% to 36%. So the second stage, what do? We used to make tractors up to 35 horsepower. So what's the immediate thing that you do? So we went around the world, we picked up the best engineers, we put up a world-class R&D facility in Chennai, and we created tractors which were the next generation tractors. We bought companies in Australia, we bought companies in China to reach the market. We are in the lower segment, the largest seller of tractors in America. We went and took case head-on and fought them on their own tariff. That was the second level of, so we had to invest in technology, we had to invest in people, we had to invest in plants. Now that is big risks that you take, but they have to be thought through. What's the third level? I talked of 3 tiers. What's the third tier that we talked of? We said, what next can we do? So we got into agri-business. Now we did not invest thousands of crores, which we spent on Arjun and others to acquire companies in Russia, in China or Australia, or set up manufacturing plants in. We have a manufacturing plant in Houston, we have a manufacturing plant in Atlanta. We went and did that. But in the second phase, you spend a lot of money. But in the third phase, we did pilots. We did pilots on contract farming. We did pilots on how do you get farmers to produce more. We have our own e-chopper where we give farmers things like that. We have Shubh Labh project, Mahindra Shubh Labh, which is an interaction with the farmers. We got into drip irrigation. We said if we improve the lot of our farmers, they will buy more tractors. So teach them how to be rich. Now we did not spend a lot of money. Shubh Labh was started with 20 crores of rupees. Because some projects work, some do not work. And you'll be surprised, we are the largest exporter of grapes and pomegranates from this country. So you have to look today, tomorrow, and day after. And you are not in a world. You actually, the phase 1 becomes phase 2 and phase 3 becomes phase 3, and then you look for the next phase 2 and the next phase 3, and you keep on going on like that. Let me give you an example of Mahindra and Mahindra. When Mr. Jalan improved the Indian economy, we were in all sorts of businesses. My particular day would start with a board meeting of advertising agency to oil drilling rigs to clutches to components to, and I was running 47 different businesses. We said, we will decide which businesses we want to be. That's phase 1. So we sold all the businesses where we were partners because the FERA did not provide opportunity to the foreigners to hold. So we were Otis, Vickers, Dr. Beck, BASF. We said, we don't want to be a second fiddle. We don't want to be an escort service. We cashed our chips. And we said we will get into the services business. Because as economies open up, services business are the one which drive, and it has proved right for us that the services. So that was the second level. So the first level was we reorganize our businesses. We said, we will get into businesses which met 4 criteria. We must be leader or near leader. The business must have innovation as an integral part of the business, because if you are not innovation integrated, you will someday become a commodity and you will become stale. The third thing that we took upon ourselves, we said that international should be part of the business. And international is not necessarily only exporting. It could be technology, it could be things. And the fourth was that we said, if in 5 years a business does not meet the required return on capital, don't be emotionally attached to the business, close the business. I have closed so many businesses. I used to run a construction company. I realized with the current environment, if you have the Mahindra value system, you cannot work in the construction business because you make money only out of extra claims, and we didn't want to do that. So we got out of businesses. The next level of thing that we took was we decided to get into services. We set up Tech Mahindra. Today, it gives us 50% of our profits and 60% of our market cap. So we got into services business. In the third generation, we are looking at next. We are into alternative energy. We have a product called Gen Z, which is being marketed in America, which is a electric two-wheeler. We are getting into nanotechnology. So we are looking at the next level of businesses, and that's what I mean by tier 1, 2, 3. I'll close this with another example of something which you're all familiar with, is the IT industry. Those of you who are in my age group or even younger will remember that in the 90s, the automotive IT industry started with what you used to call body shopping. We used to physically send bodies outside, and they would pay us $100, we'll pay $70, and we made $30 profit out of it. Then came the golden opportunity for Indian IT industry, which was Y2K. Because all computer programs were written with 19 a year, and 2000 was not predicted when they wrote, so it was called Y2K, and everybody was making profit. But those who realized that come January 2000, Y2K business will disappear, those companies disappeared. But in short, you look at the history of the IT industry. You started with body shopping. You solved problems of Y2K. Then you started doing things like your ERP, helping with the SAP program implementation, etc., etc. Then you became a product company. You started writing products like Oracle writes. I met some people from HR. Oracle writes HR. There are companies which write. There was a company called Mastech which is not doing well. They were sole product providers to Scotland Yard, and they had provided all the traffic management systems to most Asian companies. They were product companies. Then they became partners. They came and said, we will come and we'll improve your processes, and we will we will not take a fees, we'll share the profits. And today, companies like Tech Mahindra have gone even further. We are partnering with the likes of MasterCard and others to come up with new products and services and generating. So, you have to constantly move. Life in business is like a treadmill. If you don't run, you fall. because your costs keep going up, your other imperatives, your competitors starts coming in. When you're doing well, there are more people eyeing you. When you're doing badly, nobody looks at it. So if you don't run faster than the treadmill, you'll be history. And all of us know so many groups which in the 60s and 70s used to be star of India, just disappeared. We don't hear of those names. And they were blue chip companies when I finished school. So friends, now I'll come to my personal side of the business. Darna nahi. I think our biggest problem with India is with the older generation, we were willing to take risks on the Satta Bazaar, and nobody knows Satori is better than Indore. सट्टा खेलने को तैयार है, फैक्ट्री लगाने के लिए सोचते रहेंगे. But don't be stupid. You know, I had an advantage. I was not a good student. I couldn't get into engineering college, so I did BCom. और उसके बाद accounting करी. So that accountant in me never died. So while I thought of ideas, but the accountant in me made me test the ideas first on paper, then on pilot, then go big. You know, so sometimes dumb accountants can be useful. Huh? For those of you, who look down upon, ये तो मेरा लेखाकार है, मेरा मुनीम है, ये किताबू है. नहीं. Sometimes they are good. Huh? So please feel happy with my breed of people, okay? So don't be worried about taking risks, but be careful. I will share 2 personal stories with you and how we made billion-dollar businesses out of it. The first story is Mahindra Holidays. It was in 1994, Anand wanted to get into hotel business. And we used to have guest line hotels. We had 3 properties, one in Bangalore, one in Tirupati, and one in Bombay, doing well. But we realized we will never become number 1 in hotel business because it's a hugely capital-intensive business. So we decided to get out of the business. And the French who gave me the highest award to them, I sold them at 3 times the price that I had made them. So don't tell them that. Huh? One morning, I was reading Times of India, and it carried a story, time share or time scare. Fun-filled holidays or hassle-filled holidays. And there was a picture of people behind bars. कि मतलब time share खरीदा तो जेल में गया. I read that article once, twice, thrice. And I was trying to see what is wrong with the product. There was nothing wrong with the product. They were saying there are chores who run this business. There was no internet at that time, so I could not Google. Google came after 95. So next morning, I went to a gentleman called Charu Deshpande, who was my corporate communication head. And I said, Charu, look at all the articles on timeshare in the last 2 months. Business India padho, Business Today padho. He brought out 5 articles. I read all the 5 articles. And I told, and I saw the same thing, that nobody, I'm just telling you how seeds of ideas can come. Nobody had criticized the product. People had only criticized the people behind the product. I have 5-7 minutes more? Huh? Okay. So the following morning, I walked into Mr. Keshav Mahindra's office with 7 photocopies of articles. And I said, sir, I brought some bedside reading material for you. I said, रात को पढ़िएगा, लाया हूँ. He said, what is it? I said, I want you to read it and then I'll talk to you. He said, so I went and see him next morning, and he had called Anand Mahindra in the room also. He said, Arun brought something for me to read, glance through them. And now tell me, Arun, what is it? I said, sir, tell me if what I read is correct. What I read is people are criticizing the people behind the product and not the product. कोई नहीं कहता है टाइम शेयर गलत है. People are saying ये जो कंपनियां चलाती हैं ये चोर हैं, आपको प्रॉमिस X करती हैं, देती Z है. And I said, what is our strength? Mahindra is known for our values. हम hospitality तो समझते नहीं और मैं तो मुनीम हूं. What's combination? He said, yes. I said, we have values, which is what this business leads. And we have a product which I think we can run. I had made 42 crores profit, which was a lot of money in those days, on selling those 3 hotels to the French. And I said, उसमें से आप मेरे को आधा दे दीजिए. I actually did not draw आधा, I drew only 18 crores. And at the peak of the market, we had a market cap of $1 billion. Just made on one 5-letter word called trust. So you build a business out of something which you cannot think of. I'll give you one more story. I had a young executive assistant called Naveen. I have a bad habit of working late. So one day, it was about 8:45 or so, Naveen came to say good night to me. तो मैंने बोला, नवीन तेरी बिटिया कैसी है? और वो लड़का रोने लगा. रोने लगा मतलब उसके आंखों में आंसू आ गए. मैंने सोचा बिटिया बीमार है. मैंने कहा, नवीन, बेटी नॉट वेल? से नहीं सर, सुबह जब मैं ऑफिस आता हूं तो सो रही होती है, जब मैं ऑफिस से जाता हूं वो सो रही होती है. वो कांदीवली में रहता था, विच इज बियॉन्ड द एयरपोर्ट, एंड आवर ऑफिस वाज इन कोलाबा. So the poor fellow was spending 2.5 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours, and he was living in a 700 square feet flat. A boy who went to IIT, he must have competed with lakhs of people, went to a very good management school, had to spend 5 hours a day on the road and live in a 700 square feet flat. From there came the idea of Mahindra World City. I don't know how many of you have heard or seen, but one of my biggest pleasures in life is that every real estate agent, whether it was a company, whether it was DLF, or you name all of them, said, ये मुनीम सोचता है सिटी बनाएगा, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Everybody tried it and nobody succeeded. If you go through the history, everybody took an SEZ license and all of them surrendered it. Why did it happen? They wanted to make quick money. I'll tell you the story of Mahindra Life Spaces. When I set up that city, and it's something you have to see to believe. You live there, you can walk to school, you can cycle, your children play. There are 100,000 people working there, 40,000 families will live there. We have 2 of them. We have one in Jaipur now. We did not get a customer for 3 years after I built it. My sales manager used to come every day and said, कोई ताइवान से टूल मैन्युफैक्चरर है, कोई कोरिया से knitting wear manufacturer है, उसको चाहिए. मैंने कहा, you know, when you have a dream to put up a city, you cannot start with tool manufacturer and a knitwear manufacturer. So one day out of, Infosys had rejected the project. They said, is idhar nahi aayega, we want to be in the city. So one day I just landed up in Mr. Narayan Murthy's office. I used to know Mohandas and Chris. So I said, yaar, mere ko 5 minute Mr. Murthy se dila do. And I told him one thing. I said, this was my dream. I want you to do me a favor. Am I pursuing a wrong dream or the right dream? To that gentleman's credit, I got a call few days later that Mr. Murthy landed at 6:30 in the morning from an international flight. He went and without our, with his staff. 9:30 he called the people, his meeting of the manager, and said, this is the future and we want to be part of the future. उसके बाद 6 महीने में पूरी सिटी बिक गई. एक बार Infosys आए. So I'm not trying to show off. I'm not here to find any goodies or something. I'm saying have a dream, pursue a dream, and don't lose your dream. I have few words to say for my young people before I pack up. She told you I'm an accountant and a company secretary. She didn't tell you that I also did my MBA. Can you guess what age I did my MBA? I am 65 now. I'll be 66 in 2 months' time, 1.5 months' time. 50, 45, 45? तुम्हारे क्लास में कोई 45 साल का लड़का है? लड़का नहीं, बुड्ढा. No, I didn't do part-time. I did an executive, I did sandwich MBA at London Business School, and I was 40. And I was a president of M&M at 42. So just guess. I did it at 57. So my young friends, and I did it at London Business School, where my room, and I stayed on campus because I said if I'm going as a student, I'll live as a student. My room was smaller than my servant's room. I'm not a rich man. My company has given me a large flat, and those were old English type. It was a stanchard, this thing, so the servants' quarters are larger than. I had to actually do like this to wear my shirt, क्योंकि यदि मैं shirt ऐसे पहनता था तो दोनों घुटने जो थे, ये क्या बोलते हैं उसको, elbows used to touch the wall. But that was the best part of my life. Why did I do it? By that time, I was for 15 years president of M&M. I did it because I realized life has changed so fast that if I don't understand your language, I'll not be able to convey with you. I did it only to understand your language. I want to share one more secret with you and request my friends in the press not to mention this. The first Mahindra World City I did in Chennai, and even Sadhguruji talked about, he hinted what happens in Chennai. I acquired 2,000 acres of land, and I have not paid a rupee to any politician or any bureaucrat in that city. You know, I give an example. It's a larger crowd, so I'll change my example. Or if you permit me, I'll give you a little naughty example. Which one do you want? A lot of mummies are sitting here, so. A lot of mummies are sitting here. Naughty? अब जो लड़की की रेपुटेशन है कि वो डेट पे नहीं जाएगी, उसको लड़के तंग करते हैं? नहीं करते हैं ना? So if you have a reputation कि आप नहीं दोगे, तो कोई आपसे पैसे मांगने नहीं आता, आपकी फाइल खिल जाती है. और जो लड़की को किसी ने और जिस लड़की को लड़कों ने सिनेमा हॉल में किसी और के साथ देखा, वो सब कैंटीन में उसके पीछे ही भागते हैं. तो गवर्नमेंट में भी ऐसे ही होता है, जो माल देता है सब उसके पीछे जाते हैं. सब कहते हैं ये नंदा खड़ूस है, माल नहीं देगा, इसका फाइल क्लियर करो, नहीं तो आके सिर खाएगा. You can do business without paying money. You need to have conviction. But I have got out of businesses. There were certain businesses I could not do. I used to do oil drilling. I got out of oil drilling because it was a single customer and I could not understand their value system. I sold my rigs and I got out of the business. It's a very large country. There are various places and various businesses that you can do. But live by your conviction. Dream. I was telling some young people, I was telling a journalist, you know, I have had the privilege to have a Falcon jet, helicopters, I live on the way. And do you know that my mother was 2 months pregnant when they had to run from Pakistan, and they only came with what clothes they were wearing. No bank balance, nothing. So if you have come from that stage to this stage in life, please don't forget one more thing. What you are is what society made you. If you are making very good industrial pumps and making a lot of money, it's your workers who produce that pump. It is your customer who buys the pump. It is your supplier who gives you. So the society has made you what you are. Please don't forget to give back to the society. I don't want you to spend CSR funds because the government says you have to spend 2%. I want you to spend CSR funds because you believe you are what the society made out of you, and you have to give it back to the society. Last word of caution. Last word of caution. If there is one thing which keeps me awake at night, it is the gap between rich and poor in this country. The gap has widened. You may have read that 1% of the people control 90% of the wealth of the world. And probably in India, it will be even more skewed. I'll give you an example from Bombay. I live on Pedder Road, near Mahalakshmi Temple. In the old days, when my mother said, हमारे यहाँ, जैसे ये श्राद्ध वगैरह में गरीबों को खाना दिया जाता है, बॉम्बे में वो पंडित उंडित नहीं मिलते, तो मंदिर के बाहर जाके ढूंढना पड़ता था लोगों को। वो मम्मी पुड़िया बनाती थी, चावल, वो संक्रांति के टाइम पे चावल, दाल, तिल, तेल, पुड़िया बना के ढूंढने पड़ते थे। सेम महालक्ष्मी मंदिर के बाहर एक ट्रैफिक अलर्ट पे वी स्टार्टेड सीइंग पीपल, देन दे स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू योर कार। टुडे दे नॉक एट योर कार इफ यू डोंट आंसर देम। So writing is on the wall, my friend. Please be conscious that we live in a society, we make our money out of the society, and we have to give it back to the society. If you don't give back to the society, this place will not be as safe for your grandchildren as it was for us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.